Welcome back to the best podcast in the entire world, according to me and Katrina. Today, we're going to be delving into a very important topic that I think holds a lot of prevalence in today's society as people are constantly eating all the time. Fasting.
Yep, hot topic right now, fasting.
Fasting.
Nearly every 2 to 3 people that come to me are doing some sort of fasting, whether it be intermittent fasting or short water fast, juice fasting, whatever it may be. It's the hot thing right now in the world.
And out of those 2 to 3 people that are coming to you and are fasting, are they usually doing it right or wrong?
Not always. So fasting has been made so popular, due to social media, TikTok, all of these types of things. But little people realize that it has been around for thousands of years. So it has been used by nearly every culture. The Greek cultures incorporated it for healing purposes, religious purposes. Hippocrates incorporated it. But when they used to do it basically water fasting. Nowadays, a lot of people are kind of adapting the fasting and doing things like intermittent fasting. And most times they do it right, but sometimes they don't do it right. And not everybody is adapted to fast.
What are some cases where people are doing it wrong?
So in certain situations, a lot of people feel worse when they're fasting. So you read all the stuff and go, my head's going to be clearer. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to feel amazing. But they actually don't feel like that. And the reason why is they have a lot of metabolic instability within the body. So, for instance, if someone's low in micronutrients, low in protein, low in electrolytes, when they start fasting, that will get worse, right? The other thing is a lot of people with insulin resistance, oftentimes they'll start fasting, feel dizzy, lightheaded, have a lot of fatigue, and that's because their body's already insulin resistant and it's not adapting to switching from carbohydrates and food over to ketones.
For anyone watching, what is insulin resistance?
So insulin resistance is a situation in the body where either a person eats too many carbohydrates, processed foods, sugars, and their body cells want more and more sugar, and they start to become insulin resistant. So they're not taking it up properly from the bloodstream. So that's what we call insulin resistance. When a person is insulin resistant, they may put on weight, not be able to lose weight, have all types of problems with their metabolism.
What are the main benefits of fasting?
Oh, there's so many incredible benefits of fasting. I personally fast most days when I'm working. The reason I fast, and people go, aren't you hungry? Is because when I'm doing some intermittent fasting, which is like intermittent is when you have like a 16-hour break from food. So I might wake up, I don't eat in the morning, and I won't eat my first meal to say 11 or 12 during the day. The reason why that happens is when we start to go into something like fasting and we have a break for 12 to 16 hours, it can activate basically a gene within the body or a hormone called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, what that does is by activating, it opens up the pathways of neuroplasticity and enhances your memory, right? It also helps with dopamine receptivity. So they've discovered with fasting, you can actually reset your dopamine receptors. So once again, memory, mood, it reduces cravings, all types of things. So that's on the brain. But fasting can also help many other systems in the human body. So if you give your gut a rest from eating all the time, because we're constantly snacking and eating, and so the gut is always having to process food, what they've discovered is that it actually helps to heal the gut lining, right? So even a short fast for 16 hours can have a healing response on the gut lining in the body, helping things like leaky gut, stopping food intolerances, all types of things with the gut. So that's another area that benefits. And lo and behold, with fasting, they've discovered that it enhances longevity.
How does it help your gut lining, first of all?
So basically, when we give the gut a break from digesting all the time, it actually has a chance to heal. So the gut will only heal if we're not in the process of actually digesting all the time and getting all those secretions. So as soon as it has a break from that, it puts all its energy into healing the gut lining. It increases its secretory IgA. That starts to build a new mucosal lining. So it has this incredible effect on healing all parts of the body, even the immune system. They've discovered with fasting, if you give yourself a break after 2 to 3 days of not eating continuous meals and food, your white blood cells can be stimulated by up to 5 times. Yeah.
Damn, interesting. I had a question before we move on to, I know
Yes.
you're about to talk about longevity.
Yes.
But say I want to intermittent fast. When I wake up in the morning, can I still take like supplements?
Well, what happens is, yes, there's certain supplements you can take and there's certain supplements that will break a fast.
Okay.
So I often talk about this with my clients. So if you're having anything liposomal in its liposomal form, which as we know is like a nanosphere, it's like an all immersion, 90% bypasses the gut, gets straight into the bloodstream. A liposomal product will not break a fast.
Okay.
Anything in a capsule that has to be broken down and it requires stomach acids and enzymes will actually break a fast. So you cannot do everything when you're fasting, but it also depends on what type of fast you are doing, right?
Okay.
So if you're doing a water fast, you could still do liposomals, right? But you wouldn't want to use anything in a capsule, but you can always alter a fast. People don't realize there's no one set program for fasting. Okay, I'm water fasting, that's it. That's the only thing that works. Not true. You can intermittent fast. You can adapt your fast and use things like bone broths, electrolytes, and certain types of supplements. So fast can be adapted. The thing with a fast is you're trying to not have solid food, because once you have solid food, you need to stimulate your gastric secretions, the gut lining, and all these types of things. And the body puts its whole process into digesting. Right?
So you mentioned electrolytes, so powders and stuff are fine?
Yeah, so some powders are fine, definitely, because you don't need the stomach acids to break them down, right?
Okay.
Some things you would, like for instance, a protein powder would break a fast, because what do you need to break down protein? You need stomach acid,
Okay.
right? Electrolytes, no. So that's something you can definitely incorporate into a fast. The other thing fasting can do, and people don't realize, is after about 16 to 24 hours, it stimulates your growth hormone by 5 times, right? What is that great for? Metabolism, weight loss, reducing cravings, anti-aging. And probably the most popular thing with fasting now is autophagy, right? So what is autophagy?
What is it?
It's the big word. So autophagy basically is a process where the body goes into this process after about 16 to 18 hours, and it starts to clear all these damaged all these damaged red blood cells, damaged old cells from the blood, and it cleans your blood up. It removes everything that is not wanted in the body. And what does that do? That cleans the blood, but gives you an anti-aging process and enhances longevity.
So because it's not digesting any food, it starts cleaning up cells, like
that's exactly
so
right.
just any damaged cells, like
any damaged old cells, senescent cells, which are basically zombie cells.
Oh, they like the half damaged ones with like oxidative stress.
That's right. Yeah. We call them zombie cells or senescent. So they're there. They're not really doing anything. They serve no purpose, but we want them out. We only want those beautiful young, mitochondrial kind of cells within the blood that keep us anti-aging and spark plug everything in the body.
So is this like ultra detox basically?
It is an ultra detox. Look, it is. And like I said, the reason I kind of intermittent fast when I'm working is I want to activate my brain and be there for people.
Okay.
As soon as I start eating, all my energy is taken away from the brain and into my stomach. And I don't think the same. So people go to me, oh, wow, you don't eat much all day. And there's a purpose with that. I don't eat much all day because I want my brain to be active so I can consult beautifully and be there for people with great dopamine receptivity and BDNF.
I feel like I'm the opposite, but that's because I've been eating.
Yes.
Like I have breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yes.
So maybe for someone out there who's thinking of fasting, they might just switch straight away and be like, I'm going to do fucking 16 off,
Yeah.
10 hours on intermittent fast, and they might feel like shit.
That's exactly right.
What advice would
Yeah.
you give them? Would you tell them to take it slow?
Yeah, always. I always say to people, build into a fast. Like, for instance, I have clients come in and I deal with a lot of oncology or cancer in that background. And they'll come in and go, I'm starting a 40-day water fast. And I'm like, no, that can be dangerous. Stop. Let's lead into this, like, so how about we just try a 24-hour water fast once a week, right? Yeah. And do that for a little while and build yourself up until you might do a 2 to 3 day water fast once a month, right? I have done long water fasts. Like, even when I started practicing many years ago, we were made to fast as our practice because we were talking about autophagy, detoxification. And unless you know it, you'll not be able to actually explain it to people. So I did that back then and it was hectic, right? But I did notice after, say, 2 to 3 days, my brain was on fire. It was activated. I was pulling amazing things that I had never even thought about before. And I was like, this is incredible. And then after that time, I didn't want to give up. The first few days were torture, right? I was so hungry and I was convincing my mind I needed to eat, right? But after 2 to 3 days, you lose the appetite, your body starts healing, you go into autophagy and you feel fantastic. But with most people, like I said, it's better to build into a fast. Don't go hardcore straight away because what we want to do with a person is build up their electrolytes, build up their nutrition, get them into a stable position where fasting is going to be a benefit and not a harm.
Yeah, okay. Is there still a benefit even if you're quite young?
Oh, benefit for everyone. But, the difference is young people's cells up until about 25 are regenerating all the time, right? So they're healing at a very fast pace. Their cells are regenerating. They don't have as much damage as what we have once we get older. After that age, what happens is you've got more breakdown to start to deal with, more oxidative stress, more inflammation. And one of the things with fasting is it can bring down inflammation and oxidative stress very quickly, right? So after that age, it's awesome to do some intermittent fasting or a little bit of fasting. The only time that we'd probably suggest it when a person is young is if they have a chronic condition.
Or like maybe if they just want to heal their gut or anything.
Absolutely. So a chronic condition, they could have a leaky gut, a lot of food intolerances, celiac, Crohn's disease, because now we're seeing a lot of young people with these inflammatory bowel disorders. So what can be good for that? Fasting. Not continuously eating all the time, but going through a process of doing some fasting. But once again, you could do things like bone broth fasting. Add some incredible bone broths in there. You're still fasting.
So bone broth doesn't break the fast?
It's not going to break a fast. It doesn't do that because what bone broth does is it has in there these natural things. We call them GAGs, glycoamines, right? And what they are is nicknamed GAGs. And their job is to putty up the lining, right? So they're not necessarily getting you to digest, getting you hungry. But in the process of that, you've also got some electrolytes, amino acids in these GAGs. And so what they're doing is they're sealing up the gut lining, healing the gut lining. So they're going to enhance what you need to do to heal the gut.
Interesting. Could you get like similar gut healing benefits, not from doing maybe big intermittent fasting, but maybe just having some anchor meals so you're not constantly grazing, but you have maybe 2 to 3 meals
a day
and that's it?
Well, that's intermittent fasting. It's perfect. Yeah. So intermittent fasting is very healing. People don't realize, after 16 hours, we go into autophagy. After 16 hours, you've got 5 times more growth hormone. After 16 hours, you've got the healing benefits to the gut lining, to the brain, to the immune system. So intermittent fasting is very good. You can do it either way. People don't realize. So
I'm talking about that less than 16 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not doing 16 hours.
Yeah, you could definitely do that, but you don't go into autophagy until you do 16 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you could use it for other purposes. So a little bit of gut lining, healing types of things. But we've got to remember it's after that kind of 16-hour period is when the body goes into that healing process that fasting is used for.
So is there different types of fast for different goals that you might have. So like
Completely.
if it's just for insulin resistance,
Yes.
gut health, and then detox per se.
That's right. Yeah. So there is. So like we said, intermittent fasting is a shorter fast. We might do it more often. It could go either way, where we skip breakfast or we skip dinner, right? But you have your two anchor meals. So I could do breakfast, lunch, and then I don't eat until breakfast the next day. Or you could do it the opposite way. Some people feel better not having dinner. Other people feel better not having breakfast. You know, a lot of people think they can have a coffee in the morning and that won't break the fast, but unfortunately it does.
Even black coffee?
Black coffee's better, but it depends on how your adrenal glands are, because sometimes when you have a coffee, you're shooting out adrenaline. That's affecting the adrenal glands, you know, and then you might have a spike of cortisol. But in someone that's more balanced, their adrenals are good, then it won't break the fast and you can still do black coffee.
I see that all over social media. Everyone posting about their 3-day water fast or their water fast. They all have black coffee.
I know. It's really interesting. But the thing with black coffee is, what does coffee do? It's great. You know, it has some healing benefit. But it also, like we said, it spikes adrenaline from the adrenal glands. That spikes cortisol. If your adrenals are exhausted, it's not necessarily going to have that healing response and you're going to get more insulin resistance. So in some people, yes, it's really beneficial. In some people, no.
Yeah. How would you know if your adrenal glands are exhausted if you wanted to have black coffee while you fast?
Well, adrenal gland exhaustion will normally give you signs. So some signs of the adrenal glands being burnt out is you might get dry skin. You'll be awake at night and low energy in the morning, getting out in bed, you know, so the adrenals definitely give people signs. Might get dark under the eyes. So there's all different types. You don't handle stress very well. So there are already signs the adrenal glands are burnt out. So you need to be aware of symptoms or signs, you know, and say, you know, am I running on natural energy or am I running on adrenaline? Right? If I'm on natural energy, what will happen is I'll sleep beautifully during the night and I'll jump out of bed with energy in the morning and I won't feel like, oh my God, I need a coffee to get out of bed. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people will get out of bed but go, oh, I need a coffee to switch my brain on. That's already a sign of adrenal exhaustion.
I want to talk about ketones actually.
Yes.
Because a lot of people do fast to activate their natural energy instead of relying on things like coffee. So how does that work?
Okay. So when we're eating all the time and we're having carbohydrates, you know, basically what happens is we're getting short bursts of energy from the carbohydrates. When we stop eating or we start fasting or remove our carbohydrates, a lot of people will feel tired. But what should happen is the body should switch to using ketones to burn energy. Ketones are actually a cleaner fuel than glucose for energy. They're 10 times cleaner, right? So the whole idea is if you're in a metabolic crisis and you fast and the body doesn't switch over to ketones, then you'll feel fatigued, tired, and not running on this energy, right? It is a much cleaner form of energy to run on. Whereas people think, oh, I've got to have carbohydrates for energy. I can't do it without it. But it burns 9 to 10 times cleaner once we switch into ketones.
Does your body just have ketones? Like what's going on there?
Yeah.
Is there like a certain amount of hours of not eating where your body's like, hey, we've got no glucose to run on?
That's
Let's
right.
switch.
Yeah. So that's what we say with intermittent fasting or fasting, is that the body will often switch over to ketones within 16 to 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has a process like that. It'll switch over quite efficiently in people that are metabolically balanced. They're not low in electrolytes. They've got good amino acids. So people that are in that situation have a beautiful switchover process into ketone burning, right? People that are insulin resistant, have metabolic problems, all types of issues going on there with the gut, they have a less efficient switching over to ketone burning, and it can take longer. Okay. Yes.
Say once someone's body has switched over to ketones around like 16, 18 hour mark or whatever.
Yes.
If they eat again, does the body quickly switch back to glucose, or is it like a burn off period where it still uses ketones for a bit?
No, so it'll switch back. Yeah, it'll switch back. So what will happen is as soon as you start putting carbohydrates back in, the body will start burning from the fuel of the carbohydrates. But you'll still get the benefit. the longer you stay in that kind of process or the fasting process where you're burning on ketones, remember what you're doing is you're reducing inflammation, you're reducing oxidative stress, you're taking a lot of stress off the pancreas, insulin resistance, the gut, the brain, all these areas. So you get that healing process occurring while you're in ketosis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Say if someone did a 16, 24 hour fast, whatever, a fast that's targeting autophagy, how would you suggest for them to break that fast?
Always break it slowly. Like the first thing we were ever taught in naturopathic medicine when we would put people on fast. So if I go back to my studying many years ago, the first healing process I was ever taught was fasting, right? Basically in my studies, it's because Hippocrates denoted it. Every religion in the world used it. It's been around for thousands of years in the healing process. Hippocrates would say if a person went on a water fast continuously, they could virtually cure any disease within the human body, and he proved that. And that was thousands of years ago, right? So, but what we discovered is that when someone goes on a fast, you don't instantly go, I'm going out to have a Big Mac now once you're breaking the fast, because it will ruin everything, basically. So what you want to do when you're coming off a fast, you want to do it really slowly. So we were taught give someone an apple or get them a cold pressed juice and build them into that process nice and slowly, instead of just hunger and eating, because then you're just going to overload those beautiful organs that you've healed.
Do you know what I was just thinking about that you said that it's been around for thousands of years? Do you reckon our bodies they didn't evolve to constantly be eating? Because you think about it, back in the food wasn't at the supermarket. You wouldn't go go across the street and grab a fucking sandwich or a Big Mac.
That's true.
Every second. You wait for your next meal. You have to hunt your next meal. And
that's true. Yes.
So do you reckon
we've overloaded?
Yeah.
That's why we have so much obesity, and we're hooked on these drugs like Ozempic and stuff like that, is because what we've done is we've got into this eating mode where we're just constantly eating all the time. We're not giving the body a break. Everyone's got insulin resistance now, metabolic syndrome, and they're finding it really hard to lose weight. So we were never evolved for that, right? As we get older, you notice a lot of elderly people, they stop eating, right? Or they start eating less.
Yeah.
And it's because their bodies are honed or their brains are honed to not eat as much, so they can slow down the aging process. Right. But yes, this is the constant problem now. We've got supermarkets, corner stores. We just want to eat all the time. And the more that you eat, the more it affects your dopamine receptors in the brain, and the more you want to fill them up all the time.
Okay, leading on to that point, a lot of the food's processed and that. So when they're designing these foods, it's hitting the perfect balance of sensations in your mouth.
That's right.
It's hitting all the right
receptors.
Dopamine receptors, serotonin receptors.
Oh my God, it's designed like that.
So foods become more of a pleasure thing than functional.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So is that why?
Oh my God, all the fake sugars that they create. They create them in these chemical labs, and they're designed to stimulate these receptors or these pleasure receptors, so you want more. But it's a fake pleasure. Right. It's because what's it doing? Filling up the receptor for a couple of minutes, and then the desire is there to fill it up more because it becomes more empty. Right. So oftentimes when people are going, I need a reward. I need something. I need some sugar. I need some caffeine, things like that. It's because the dopamine receptors are empty because they've been overstimulated and they become less and less, right? And it's the same with these weight loss drugs, the GLP-1, all of these kind of drugs. They're temporary sensations, right? And unless you stay on it, you're just going to rebound the weight back again, and it gets worse each time. This is what people don't realize, right? So the whole idea with the human body is to get it into a natural homeostasis where you know exactly, okay, I need to eat for fuel, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to overload my system where I'm gaining weight, my metabolism is terrible, my cells become insulin resistant, and it starts to affect every organ in the human body, and you start to age at a fast pace.
Yeah, I noticed that when you switch from eating less processed foods, sugars, your brain thinks about food less.
That's right.
And
Sugarless.
And sugarless. And it's more of a functional thing. So it sounds like intermittent fasting is the natural thing to do.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I do believe in intermittent fasting. I don't think we were designed to have 5 meals a day.
Yeah.
I mean, some people 3 meals is okay, but every so often it's good to have 2 good meals. And you find as you get older, that naturally becomes the process if your brain and body is in a natural state of homeostasis where it's healthy.
If one of these viewers wanted to start right now, like right after this video, not tomorrow, right now, what would you tell them to do?
I would say probably the easiest way to start is just do an intermittent fast, a 16 to 18 hour fast. So just begin with trying to have 2 meals a day and skipping the dinner time and going through to the next day, or doing it the opposite way. That's probably the easiest way to fast. Start having more home cooked meals, less processed meals, cooking everything yourself, add things in like bone broths. Even sometimes a popular thing was to do cold pressed juice fasting as well. So it's not as popular now because we've got onto intermittent fasting and water fasting and longer fasts. But cold pressed juice fasting can be really beneficial way to start as well, where you do a 2 to 3 day cold pressed juice fast. And if you want and you're feeling your blood sugars aren't great, you can do a little bit of fruit in between. So that can be an easy way to just ease yourself into fasting. Then do intermittent fasting and then try a 1 day water fast, like 24-hour water fast. I normally do a couple a month and I feel fantastic when I'm doing that. Last year, at the end of the year, I did a 10-day water fast, right? But I've been doing fasting for years, so it's much easier for me. I felt fantastic. It was incredible. And I didn't want to break the fast because my mind was on fire, right? I was designing every product you could think about. Things were coming to me. My dopamine receptors were incredible. But just if you want to introduce yourself to it, just start with a little bit of intermittent fasting.
Okay, interesting. I just got a personal question.
Yeah.
Do you have matcha while you're fasting?
Well, I love matcha while I'm fasting. I can't see why not. It does have a little bit of caffeine in it, but it's very minimal, the caffeine. Yeah. It does keep your brain switched on, helps the digestive system. So it's got a lot of processes. I mean, a good fast, you could actually do a little bit of black coffee, some matcha, use some liposomals and build into it that way as well. That could be another easy way to fast.
Yeah. Okay. So you would suggest someone do like maybe 12 on, 12 off to start?
Yeah, you could just do that for sure.
14, 10, something simple.
Yeah, something simple. Yeah.
Dive a bit deeper into it, do their own research.
That's right.
See what works for them.
Yeah, that's right. Or even if you consult with someone like a naturopath or someone like that, find out how your systems work. Are your adrenals good? Have you got insulin resistance? Look at repairing that first, and balancing you, and then it'll be easy to fast. If you do go into a fast and go, I'm dizzy, lightheaded, I'm fatigued, I feel worse, then something is out of balance in your body.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Leading on to that, what kind of people should avoid fasting? Not forever, but for short term.
Well, short term, definitely people like we were saying that are nutrient deprived, electrolyte deprived, don't have enough protein or micronutrients in the body. People that are very insulin resistant, even though people don't realize that fasting corrects insulin resistance. But if you're incredibly insulin resistant, if you go into a hardcore fast straight away, you will not feel great, right? Mm-hmm. So there's certain people that should look at that and avoid that. If you're malnourished as well, you may have to watch it because you will lose weight on a fast.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. We had some technical difficulties. So why do people get scared of being hungry? And is that fear actually manufactured?
It is manufactured. It's not logical, the fear. So basically it comes down to biology, cultural conditioning, metabolic conditioning within the body. So basically when we fast, a lot of people send a signal to the brain, I'm hungry, and they go into this fear process where they feel comfortable when they're eating all the time. So the fear is not a logical fear. So when we start to get symptoms of, oh, I'm dizzy, I'm lightheaded, things like that happening, then we perceive this as a fear process. I'm in danger. I need to stop fasting, otherwise I'm going to die. So it's not a logical process at all.
Okay. Is there like a specific time period where that kind of tapers off, or?
Yeah. I've done a lot of fasting, and you'll tend to find after, say, 2 to 3 days of fasting, it just disappears, right, as well. So the body goes into that process. But then it also depends on the human being that is actually doing the fasting, because a lot of them could come down to they've got anxiety, lots of fears, depression, things like that. And they trick their mind into believing that it's bad. Right. So there's that process as well.
Yeah. So it's a big psychological thing too.
100% it's psychological, because generally fasting is great for most people.
Interesting. I've got another one.
Yeah.
Is fasting actually bad for women, or is that one of the most misunderstood narratives in health right now?
That's completely misunderstood, right? It is not bad for men, women, or anyone, basically. It resets the hormones within the human body. So just like it works on the immune system, the gut, dopamine receptors, and everywhere in the body, it also has an incredible effect on the hormones, right? Just imagine when I'm fasting, what am I doing? I'm bringing down inflammation and oxidative stress. What's a danger to a female's hormonal system? Inflammation and oxidative stress. So no, it does not have a bad impact on a female hormonal system. It actually has a very positive impact on females. Right?
Interesting.
And even fertility. That's another really interesting thing. What have they found the greatest thing to increase fertility in women? Detoxification and fasting. Right?
What's the biggest mistake people make when they try fasting for the first time?
I thought one of the biggest mistakes is to go into hardcore fasting straight away. Like, I'm going to do a 40-day water fast. I've never done a fast, but I'm doing a 40-day water, right? So I think that's the biggest mistake that you can see, right? The other one is drinking, like we said, drinking lots of coffee, not just a black coffee once a day, but drinking coffee all day while you're actually fasting. So I had one client come to me and he said, oh, I've been on a fast for 10 days. I'm having 7 coffees a day too. I was like, are you kidding? He said, I feel terrible. It's not working. And I was like, you're probably so dehydrated. You've got no electrolytes. Like, you're just making yourself worse and you're going into starvation mode. So that's another common error that people do as well. So there is a few mistakes.
How important are electrolytes when you're fasting?
Very important. So, I mean, your body could already have a lot of electrolytes in it. But so when we're fasting, you need to be drinking. You're not drinking tap water. That's for one, right? With all the chemicals. If you're fasting, you need to drink mineral rich. I normally say alkaline or hydrogen-rich water is the best thing to do on a fast. It's much easier to fast now because the water quality when you're getting this type of water has a lot of minerals in it already. Okay. What are minerals? Electrolytes. So it's a lot of fasting depends on also the water you're intaking into your body.
So for people that say don't have a reverse osmosis filtration system, where maybe they can just filter their water, but it's not going to remineralize it, would you suggest them just to have an electrolyte?
That's right. Yeah, I definitely would. Put some high minerals into the water. A lot of people use Celtic salt nowadays into the water. Celtic salt's not enough, even though it's a massive fat. I love it still, but it's not enough electrolytes. You're not going to get enough magnesium. You won't get enough potassium out of that water. So adding an electrolyte will not break your fast. Make sure it's magnesium, potassium, and sodium rich, right? And then you're not going to become dehydrated during your fast, which means no fatigue.
So a simple electrolyte. Is there electrolytes that have stuff that would break a fast?
Some electrolytes, definitely. So some electrolytes might add things like, your proteins, excess taurine, different types of things like that. And in some cases, it can break a fast. You just want a simple electrolyte that has no artificial sugars in it, because a lot of electrolytes are using artificial sugar as well, or using sugars, glucose. That's going to break your fast. Like you look at a lot of these electrolytes out there that sports people use. What are they? They're glucose, right? So of course that's going to break it. You're trying to get rid of glucose and switch to ketones. How are you going to go to ketones? Like I had a man come in here and he's a sports. He goes, I've been fasting. Oh, but I take this amazing electrolyte. I looked at it and it was like 75% glucose. You're not fasting.
Before we end today, is there anything you'd like to add? Anything you feel like we've missed?
Oh, let me think. No, I think we've covered the whole
I feel like
thing.
we've covered a lot.
Yeah, we have. I know. Like once again, I said, everyone asks me when they come in, can I fast with supplements? So we did cover that. And yes, you can electrolytes, liposomal supplements, but nothing in a tablet or a capsule form because your digestion is going to have to work. Right?
Bang.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Perfect. Yeah.
Simple, to the point.
That was a good
Pleasure
one.
having you on.
Oh, thank you,
Pleasure.
Carter.